What can be expected out of Mr. Modi's visit to the United States of America? There are several dimensions. One, of course, on how we will deal with Pakistan. But the important the dimension is what Modi does vis-a-vis the India-America relationship. How much he can, how far he can take it forward, whether he can really take it to a new level. Is it at any level in the first place? Has it been stagnant? What has the Congress government done over 10 years to take the relationship anywhere? MJ Akbar represents the BJP, Dr. Singhvi the Congress, Pavan Verma, Member of Parliament of the JDU and a former experienced diplomat, and Atul Kumar Anjaan represents, if I may say so, the anti-American position because he believes not much can be vested in the relationship. He's National Secretary of the Communist Party of India. Thank you very much. Let's begin with the contrarian view. Atul Kumar Anjaan, a lot of expectations out of Narendra Modi's visit to America. It is felt that this is the time we can make that aggressive foreign policy push. Our relationship with China is going nowhere. We need allies in the world, and it's America who we'll need to lean towards because they also need us and we need them. Atul Kumar Anjaan, it's a time for you really to move out of your fixed position on America and get real ahead of the Modi visit.
We have a very fixed idea, and the fixed idea is that we want to have a very good relation with the people of America, and we are for that. At the same time, we do not approve the policies of the US government, its military industrial complexes, its you see, aggressive imperialist designs, and at the same time, its policies under the cover of international finance capital. We don't believe in. And I think that it is not a question of India itself. Entire third world countries are, you see, facing the crisis because of the American diplomacy and American policies toward the third world. And what is happening in the whole Middle East, you see, they have made it a, you see, graveyard. Last 15, 20 years, they have made it a graveyard. Earlier it was confined to Golan Heights, Palestine issue, and Israel issue. Now from there it has shifted up to the Afghanistan, and it is knocking
so
the
what do you
door
want?
of India.
What do you want? You don't want any engagement with America, I presume. I mean, you put out a litany of reasons.
Arnab, tomorrow they will go out. They will go out from Afghanistan. It is they who made the Al-Qaeda. It is they who made the Baghdadi.
Yes, so what do you want? Give me an alternative. What do you want?
And now they are fighting.
Let me take it as a given.
Who is suffering? The smoke is coming out. It is engulfing India. The smoke is engulfing the India. I want the America to be more sensitive, and while with the India and American
but you need to engage with them.
Discussed. That has to be discussed.
You see, the Americans,
we should not be deceived. We should not be made the scapegoat, and our relation should be on the base of equality.
Right. So you need to engage with the Americans if that is to happen. You know, your entire litany, your opening remarks seem to indicate you don't want a strategic relationship with America. You don't want the economic relationship with America. You don't want a relationship of trust, and you try to disengage from America.
But we don't want to be a strategic relation to destroy our country. No, Pakistan has a strategic relation. What is the position of Pakistan today? Afghanistan had a strategic relation with America. What happened? Iraqi new government had a strategic relation. What happened to them? I want a strategic relation which doesn't affect adversely to us, which on the basis of equal pedestal we should stand, and we should see the world. They must understand we are a country of
equal pedestal. Okay, before I come to MJ Akbar,
they cannot take for granted.
Before I come to MJ Akbar, let me get Abhishek Manu Singhvi, because that point is very critical. You need a relationship, you need an equal relationship. What did you do for 10 years? Abhishek Manu, you kowtowed to the Americans, you bent before them. Right? When you were asked to bend, you chose to crawl. Your foreign policy was self-defeating. You supported their snooping into, their snooping on Indian and Indian assets. You were soft on every single program of the Americans which damaged our strategic interests. In fact, I'm sorry to say, there is an expectation from Modi today, Abhishek Manu Singhvi, and I'm not saying this to provoke you. I can see you there cynically smiling as I'm making my comment out there. You failed to bear on the United States of America to even extradite David Coleman Headley, the key player of the 26/11 attack. You let the people of India down when he entered into a plea bargain with the United States. Now the expectation would be that Mr. Modi doesn't make the same mistakes that you did. Abhishek Manu Singhvi, 1 second, Mr. Anjaan, I know you haven't finished with America yet. Let Abhishek Manu Singhvi defend himself. And then we'll see how much Mr. MJ Akbar can promise tonight. Yes, Dr. Singhvi. It's a correction strategy.
Thank God the question ended, Arnab.
Sir,
I thought you were the fifth and the longest and the most vociferous participant. Now I hope I'll get half the time you took in the question. It's very good to be the devil's advocate, but the devil's advocate, when mixed with too much of rhetoric and adjectives, shouldn't become the devil itself. So please.
Thank you. You have also called me a devil. That's the only thing the Congress party hadn't called me so far. The Congress party has now christened me the devil. Thank you very much. Now let's get to the point.
No. You are entitled to all your adjectives. I beg to differ. And all I would like to say is that if your only takeaway for 10 years of UPA from the US is A, David Coleman's non-extradition, and B, as you put it, kowtowing, then I can only say that you are looking at the relationship with blinkers on.
So are you...
First, this is a time to look forward. Like, can we answer now? I've only started my answer. Arnab, you asked a 2-minute question. Give me 1 minute to answer at least. Please don't reverse the equation.
No, MJ Akbar will counter you, not me. Go ahead.
Looking forward today. 1 sec. No, but he'll counter me after you allow me to finish my comment. Give him something to counter me on. First and foremost, Arnab, we are looking towards the future. It's not the time to talk of the past, howsoever bad the UPA may be, according to you. Second point, Arnab, the so-called strategic dialogue started by Mr. Vajpayee has never been taken ahead so fast, so firmly and so broadly in many, many dimensions, never even addressed by the BJP. And let me add, unfortunately, despite a lot of obstruction and obstacle by the BJP. Third, trade, commerce, interaction, engagement. From defense to commerce to ordinary articles, improvement of balance of trade has never seen a greater improvement than in these 10 years. Fourth, we have today, the US has remained as a firm ally, and that has been purely on the basis of equality. In fact, if I wanted to rewind to 26/11, a large part of the shaming of Pakistan globally happened with the active support of the US in a manner unprecedented ever before since independence. Global shaming is one of the most powerful weapons because you can't attack a sovereign country so easily. So I think there was in fact perhaps never a golden period of a better kind between the two countries overall for a long, long time. And therefore I stand by it totally firmly. I think your description is completely incomplete, inaccurate. However, there is a large number of things to be done. That thing has to be taken forward. I'll give you just one example. We fought for the nuclear issue. We enacted it. There was a lot of opposition by the BJP that you must have liability of a particular kind.
Yeah.
We also agreed. Today, we have to make sure that that relationship deepens. I'm giving you a specific example. Deepens and broadens on the nuclear supply.
Exactly. No, I'm sorry.
Because that has got stuck badly.
Sir, I'm sorry.
Stuck badly.
Sir, I need to.
Because
I need to get into it.
Not because of the idea. 1 sec. Not because of the idea. Not because of the necessity. Not because of the feasibility. But because of a particular set of clauses. So I'm not arguing against it. I'm not arguing for it. I'm saying we need to work together work around
Sir, if you want to debate the nuclear... No, 1 second. Sir, if you want to debate the nuclear liability law and all that in detail, we can. But no, 1 minute. Sir, now let me come in, sir. You said a lot of things against me, including christening me the devil. I will not respond tonight. I take it on the chin. My question is very simply, if asking
metaphors,
that's all right, sir. That's all, even metaphorically,
is far too good for that.
That's all right, sir. That's all right, sir.
And martyrdom doesn't suit you. Martyrhood doesn't suit you. Let me tell you.
That's all right, sir. I'd like MJ Akbar and Pavan Verma to come in openly right now. I feel you got the UPA's approach to America totally wrong. I feel you were not just servile, sir. At various points of time, you were completely pusillanimous with the United States of America. You got provoked when I mentioned David Coleman Headley. That's one thing. You were high on rhetoric. You were low on implementation. And only, I'm not squaring off with you. Let MJ Akbar do that. But let me not forget, sir, as far as the nuclear liability law is concerned, you went out of your way to please the United States of America and then After there was an uproar from the opposition parties, let me complete. You were forced to get your act together. The expectation will be at least the Modi government won't do that. MJ Akbar is countering you. I saw your hand go saying no, let MJ Akbar continue. What can we expect? How different will you be, MJ Akbar? And you have some counters to make to the first two speakers, please. Go ahead.
Thank you, Arnab. I don't particularly want to be any kind of advocate, but I do just want to make two mild points about my predecessor's arguments. One, I think, while Abhishek is a very fine advocate for any cause, particularly his party's, I think some serious damage was done to Indo-US relations by, I think, an excessive amount of promises made behind the scenes in Washington which were not deliverable given Indian national mood. Number two, I think Mr. Antony as Defense Minister did hurt the relations quite badly by certain actions. We won't get into it. And also to my friend Anjaan, I would like to remind him that, the American government, after all, is an extension of the will of the American people. So you can't really see that the American people are distinct from the American government, as in any democracy. Most communist parties don't quite understand democracy, but we leave that aside. This present trip, every major visit of this sort, Arnab, while it naturally will bear the shadows of the past, is also rooted in the present and in the context of present crisis. I think if you are searching for things to see in the present visit by our Prime Minister, at one level, of course, it is the first visit between two major leaders of the world, and there will be some amount of exploratory contacts. They will be searching for each other, finding ways in which they can interact with each other. With both Japan and China, our Prime Minister has had the good fortune of knowing them personally in the past. But I think on the strategic issues that you mentioned, one of the areas in which we will have to come to a dialogue, and it will be a dialogue of equals, we must remember one thing, that India, unlike some of the nations mentioned earlier in the debate, is not a weak nation. And the Indian Prime Minister is not a weak Prime Minister. So it will be a debate among equals. And I think one of the areas that will be up for discussion will be AFPAC, Afghanistan, Pakistan, which is really sinking into enormous toxic turmoil which will affect the region. But also what I would like to say is AFPAC extended or AFPAC plus, which we probably have to leapfrog and into Iraq
those are slogans.
And into the regions of the
Those
Middle
are
East.
slogans, MJ Akbar. Talk reality. The Americans like to negotiate. The Americans don't like slogans. Yes. These slogans that the Prime Minister coined vis-a-vis China, inch towards mile. What happened of inch towards mile? What did the Chinese give you? They never inched and forget the mile. And as far as the Americans is concerned, let me give you one example. Sushma Swaraj raked up the issue of snooping during a meeting with John Kerry. Did John Kerry give her any assurances? Not one assurance, a template response. Then Sushma Swaraj defined the US-India relationship as a strategic partnership. When John McCain came to India, he didn't know how to respond to it because America itself struggled to explain what this strategic partnership that Sushma Swaraj defined was. So the Americans are very straightforward. You want more examples, MJ Akbar? The Defense Trade and Technology Initiative with America has failed to take off, but your government had gone ahead and increased the FDI cap on defense from 26% to 49%, knowing fully well that America is the largest arms exporter to India. So you are giving things and calling it a strategic partnership and raising issues. The Americans have looked at you back in the eye and they've given you nothing solid in response. Pavan Verma, am I wrong? Is there anything solid in response that the Americans have? And it is all right for MJ Akbar to say, let's have a relationship.
The question was asked to me. The question was asked to me.
MJ Akbar, you're getting a counter from Pavan Verma.
I don't think you should.
I'll debate with you, but let Pavan Verma debate with you first.
You asked me the question.
No, sir, I made an observation on what you said.
I would like the opportunity of the answer.
No, sir, I'd like Pavan Verma. The question right now is, MJ Akbar says, Pavan Verma, we will have a relationship from a position of strength as equals. All well said, but how is this any different or more equal than during 10 years of the UPA? Pavan Verma to MJ Akbar. We're opening it up now after this. Yeah.
First of all, Arnab, I want to take this debate quite seriously because you yourself mentioned its importance. beyond merely this one-upmanship between the UPA and the NDA and the BJP. It's a good beginning. A Prime Minister, for the first time, is going to the US after the elections, the recent elections, and now we need to see how he will perform. Good beginnings, Arnab, it's very important, and I want to say this to Mr. Akbar, must have carefully defined ends. Otherwise, good beginnings are improvisation at summit level. Now, for those good beginnings to reach to carefully defined ends, I think it's very important to see the dialogue with the United States, not merely within a bilateral framework, but I agree, as Mr. Akbar himself said, we have to see this relationship in a much larger framework, which includes Afghanistan, Pakistan, China on the one hand, and Japan and Australia on the other, and ASEAN. That's in our region, it's exceptionally important. And I do not believe either in the past or now we have prepared ourselves well enough to prepare a strategy to do this. Last time there was to be a quadrilateral dialogue between Australia, Japan, India. There was a protest from China, and we gave up that initiative. That is point number one. Secondly, I want to say to you that no nation can pursue its national interest, especially with a nation as powerful as the United States, unless our national interests are carefully defined. Now, what are our national defense? Of course, they are in the area that I mentioned earlier, which is a strategic dialogue. They are about to exit Afghanistan. What is the mess they are leaving behind for us, and what are they planning to do about it? They propped up the regime in Pakistan, irrespective of whether it was civilian or not.
Absolutely.
And today Pakistan is a state which is imploding. Now, thirdly, let me say to you, now in the area of civil nuclear cooperation, I believe there is a plethora of unfinished business. Do we have the muscle to walk the talk and complete it without necessarily doing it, as you chose to put it, on bended knees or by compromising what we believe is right for our country? And lastly, I want to make one point. I can talk of other issues, trade, FDI, extremely important, space, science and technology, health, but I want to make the mention of the fact that America respects countries which can talk to it with a level of self-respect on equality. And there have been irritants.
We haven't done that.
There was the unforgivable treatment of our diplomat. There has been spying on which we haven't yet got a convincing answer.
No.
So there are issues where we need to be able to be assertive. We need to do so with the intention to take this relationship forward, because it's a very important
what will the Americans give?
Relationship.
No, what will the Americans give? So what will the Americans give? And right now, everyone's made their point of view, but we come down to what Americans give. Atul Kumar Anjaan has a point here where he says that we need to take care of our own strategic interests. Can MJ Akbar tell me today whether we will be able to bear on the United States to reduce its assistance to Pakistan? Can MJ Akbar say today that they will even drastically reduce aid to Pakistan despite repeated attacks against Indian interests? Can MJ Akbar, for that matter, say that the Americans will pick up something concrete instead of a templated reply on the issue of snooping? You used to criticize MJ Akbar, the UPA government, on snooping. You have got no assurances on these issues. So what are you going to get? You're going to have to come back to India and say this is what we got in turn.
Arnab,
yes.
may I just, may I request you not to answer these issues before the discussion has taken place. After all, we will know the answers to these issues. You make some valid questions. You may know the answers to these issues after the talks that are held in Washington. I think there will be 2 days of talks, and you can rest assured that the Prime Minister of India will raise India's national interests and our concerns extremely forcefully. He will raise them from the viewpoint of a person who has the support of the Indian people on the side. And I can assure you that when it comes to Pakistan, Narendra Modi ji doesn't need anyone's nudge, to protect India's national interest.
No, but
I also would like to point out in this. I would also like to point out in this.
Okay, no one second. Counters are coming in. No, Abhishek Manu Singhvi, please. No one. Abhishek Manu Singhvi. It's an open debate now. Abhishek Manu Singhvi. Abhishek Manu Singhvi wants to come in. Of course, I'll let you come in after that, Pavan Verma. And look at it, Mr. Anjaan seems to be taking everybody at face value. Abhishek Manu Singhvi.
No, I just want to make two short comments. Since you said something about the UPA 10 years, I could only answer you. But let me straight away at the outset say, Arnab, that when an Indian Prime Minister is the Prime Minister of the country goes abroad, the entire country unites behind him. There is no doubt about that. And when he goes to a country like the US or for the UN General Assembly, they are two distinct events and they are both international, global, vital events. So there is no doubt that he goes with a lot of goodwill, irrespective of political color and political party. And the Congress has believed that from the beginning. And the second point is, foreign policy ultimately has to be practiced incrementally with a huge amount of continuity. To suggest that I score a point over you because I am the outgoing government, you are the incoming government, is to destroy the very concept of foreign policy.
Certainly not, but I'm sure you are.
If he wants to build on 4 or 5 issues which we pushed,
I think that's a very Abhishek Manu Singhvi.
But if he wants to take a leap,
Abhishek Manu Singhvi,
it won't work.
I think that's a very smart strategy you've adopted here to start, if not with a strategic relationship between India and America, to start a strategic relationship between MJ Akbar and Abhishek Manu Singhvi on the Newshour, because I'm only questioning both of you tonight.
No, not strategic.
And I'd like to remind you.
Strategic relationship is here.
And I'd like to remind you.
And I'd like to
remind you, we're aware.
I welcome a strategic relationship with
the Congress
Singhvi on this issue.
Oh, fantastic! So MJ Akbar,
what he says is perfectly right. That is supposed to represent the nation. The nation is behind the Prime Minister.
Arnab,
this is
he's absolutely
national interest. You must have strategic relationships between the two parties.
The BJP had consistently accused the UPA of being too trusting of the United States of America. And I just pointed out to MJ Akbar what he doesn't like, that their actions since they came to power go on to show that they are not too far behind. I gave 3 or 4 examples to MJ Akbar. Yes, Mr. Anjaan.
And after that,
Arnab ji, I just want to raise, I have heard my friend from the Congress and BJP both, but I just want to tell one thing. You see, when Mr. Modi goes to America, he is not the only BJP leader. I consider it, he is representing India. He is our Prime Minister. But look what happened. When he went to Kargil, at the post, there was a firing across the line. When the Chinese president comes here and he talks, in Kumar what happened, you see the Chinese people have entered in our area. I just want to say that the point right now, India, you see, US gives $5 billion to India for purchase of arms and all that, and the very next day, $7 billion to Pakistan to purchase the arms on that. This is what they want. They want to escalate the tension in this area. And there is one point very interesting. Had Mr. Modi discussed, on the foreign policy, on the foreign policy we used to have, Arnab, one point. On the foreign policy, we used to have a consensus whether going before to UN General Assembly. Mr. Modi has discussed, the BJP leaders have discussed with the Congress leaders, have they discussed in Parliament, the other opposition leader, that UN, he is going to address the UN. What are the issues he has to take up on behalf of India? He has not done this exercise. So there is a point. What I am telling, India needs to have such a foreign policy because we have to face tremendous pressure what is happening in Middle East.
MJ, I don't know. Why are you presuming that the Prime Minister will do anything against national interest? I mean, I have a right to question the BJP tonight on whether they will be more assertive of Indian interests vis-a-vis America.
On the base, Arnab ji, on foreign policy issue, earlier also in NDA regime and UPA regime, there used to have a consensus, and Prime Minister used to discuss with all political parties. Has Mr. Modi discussed with that? That's the point I just...
MJ Akbar, would you like to quickly respond, and I'll come to you, Pavan Verma, after that.
May I say something?
No, let MJ Akbar respond to that allegation. An allegation has been made. Let him respond.
Arnab, I think there was once a communist Home Minister of India, Indrajit Gupta, and I don't recall that regime having
there
very
was.
major discussions with, with the opposition parties of that time before the Prime Minister then went. Right, but yes,
they were having
on
Kashmir, holding the election Kashmir.
Yes.
We had a discussion.
Now,
at that point of time,
now
on other side, you were not in that time in BJP. You were in other side.
Why are we? I'm sorry, Arnab. Please, can we, as Pavan said, have a serious debate instead of having a bizarre debate?
Remind
this
you.
is a serious issue.
I just want to remind you.
Okay, Mr. Anjaan, you made your point. He has a right to respond to you now.
We are really
Hear him,
seriously
please.
discussing.
Hear him, please. He's responding to you. So
All right.
Hear him, please. Let's not get personal. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd like to respond, in fact, to the very intelligent points made by others. Right? In which some serious issues were raised and pointed out, and we have every right to a discussion and debate on this. I would like to point out on the issue of Kargil. I don't know, Arnab, if you have read KP Nair's story today in the Telegraph, or was it yesterday in the Telegraph, of what precisely happened during the Kargil war, when Narendra Modi used, these papers had just been revealed, when used his influence in Washington in order to persuade the Clinton administration to harden its stand against Nawaz Sharif, and that pressure actually worked brilliantly. It worked brilliantly, and the Congress in particular took up the issue, and Nawaz Sharif had to actually bow down before the pressure that was generated by Narendra Modi's presence. And this was not widely known because Narendra Modi did it in the national interest without going around, with a trumpet to blare his own contribution, because he did it as a patriot and as a person helping the nation at a time of crisis. And that indeed is the way that foreign policy is best conducted. Not as an opportunity for being a gladiator, but as an opportunity for doing good for the country. I would like to point out, however, one thing, that on the sidelines of the UN presence, I don't think there is a meeting that is going to happen with Nawaz Sharif. But for me, it is very important that a meeting is going to take place with Sheikh Hasina, and not for me, I think for the country. That's what really I meant, not myself. I'm sorry about that. With Bangladesh, and I think our relations with Bangladesh are very important.
So why are you sidestepping? So why are you sidestepping? No, sir, 1 second. So why are you sidestepping? So why? So America. So sorry. So sorry, sir. I feel you are sidestepping. No, sir.
In the neighborhood.
No, sir.
And use this opportunity to create a new kind of consensus with our neighbors and neighborhood in this region. All of it goes towards a very important and developing narrative, which is
MJ Akbar. No. 1 second. MJ Akbar.
Narendra Modi's emerging foreign policy.
MJ Akbar, we will determine the success of Narendra Modi's foreign policy from not only the importance of his bilateral with Sheikh Hasina in Bangladesh, for which we need no American intervention. And he did not even have the meeting in New York.
Yes,
he can have it
you're
anywhere.
Absolutely right.
So Mike,
and I would like you to wait, Arnab, for the discussions that take place in Washington. Before those discussions,
sir, all I remember,
I don't think that anyone has a right to either disclose the contents of that discussion or to pass judgment on it before they have taken place.
I would like to remind you, sir, that there is a party called the Bharatiya Janata Party. No, Pavan Verma is taking you on 1 second. But there is a party called the Bharatiya Janata Party which ad nauseum used to accuse the Congress party of servility, of sacrificing Indian interests and not being assertive enough vis-a-vis America. To a representative of that party, let me complete, sir. To a representative of that party by the name of MJ Akbar, I would like to bring to his attention that just a few days before the America identified the JUD as a Lashkar alias in June 2014, the Senate Committee on Appropriations approved a total of $960 million, almost what the Obama administration requested for. And we want to know from you, you met John Kerry, you met Chuck Hagel, you're going to meet Obama, what are they going to give you? Will they say, because you have said that all my military aid to Pakistan is diverted against India, what are we going to get? What are the people of India going to get? That's not a small thing to ask for. It's only repeating what you asked for yourself.
When you go to Washington, When you go to Washington to cover that event as a journalist, you will find the answers.
I hope
Just
I do.
Have a little patience.
I hope I do.
I know you're not very famous for patience.
Sir, that's all right.
Question.
Sir, actually, it's the BJP which lost its patience vis-a-vis the UPA government on these issues. Okay, Pavan Verma, please. Yes, Pavan Verma. Pavan Verma, responding now.
I just want to say, I want to make 3 points. First of all, there is no doubt whether there is a strategic partnership between Mr. Manu Singhvi and MJ Akbar. There is no doubt that the Prime Minister goes as a representative of the nation, and we respect him on that platform. Secondly, I think there is no doubt that we cannot prejudge what will happen in Washington as the visit unfolds. But there is one question I want to raise, that foreign policy must be a carefully calibrated exercise, and sometimes I get the feeling, and I could be wrong, that the Prime Minister seems to be in a great hurry on foreign policy initiatives.
Why?
For instance, let me complete this. I don't mean it as a critique, I'm raising it as a query. Now, since he has assumed power in the 100 days that we've had, there have been a flurry of initiatives. I'm mentioning this because they are relevant in the context of the American visit. Now, what happened in the case of Pakistan? We had Nawaz Sharif come for the swearing in, but we've later had the maximum number of ceasefire violations crossing almost 36, touching 40 soon, blatantly, and the response was, because I don't believe a strategic response had been thought out, was to call for foreign secretary level talks and then to cancel them for a precedent that had already been set. It was a very unconvincing display. The same problem with China thus far. Only as examples I'm quoting.
Dr. Singhvi, I see that. I'm coming to you.
It's very good to have a dialogue with China. It's a neighbor. It's a neighbor. But when we had the Chinese president here, that was one of the largest incursions into India. When the Vice President of India went to China, China brought out a map showing Arunachal Pradesh as a part of China.
Yes, sir.
So even though the Prime Minister may be in a hurry, I hope when he is in the United States, the ceremonial and the pageantry is far less important than this carefully planned strategic doctrine that takes a sustained framework to this relationship and pushes it into the future.
I'm seeking an intervention from Abhishek Manu Singhvi. I saw his hand go up there. Just summary of the points. And by the way, Dr. Singhvi, I am not against your new partnership with the BJP. I am flummoxed. I don't hold a card against it. I wouldn't say I'm impressed. Neither am I horrified. I just find it very interesting today that something is happening on the Newshour which has not happened in the last 8 years that I have, consistently anchored this program, which is a declaration of a BJP-Congress partnership.
Arnab.
Yeah, no, you have a right, sir. You have a right to come together with them. I'm just amazed at what's going on. Yeah, Abhishek Manu Singhvi. Yeah,
my time is before you touch staggering heights of exaggeration.
So
let me bring you down to earth, because what I'm going to say now might demolish your previous sentences.
Right.
I want to go ahead a little bit from what Pavan Verma said.
Right.
And I think whatever else it does or doesn't do, it certainly demolishes your previous few sentences.
You don't have to consciously try to do that, sir.
Can I just give me just two minutes, less than 2 minutes. I have got into trouble by saying the same thing, but I have no hesitation in repeating it, that when Modi spoke on Independence Day, there is pretty little you can find unexceptional out his words. The problem is the deeds. The problem is that he gives the feeling now, both in the China, both in the Japan, both in the possibly in the USA, which is now coming up, and in a lot of other domestic things, he gives the impression that it's all about imagery, optics, impressions, photo opportunities, feel-good factors, and extremely impressive eloquence in oratory. Now, if that is praise, the problem is that the moment it comes to deeds, the preach versus practice hiatus, the actual concrete achievements from the visits, the countables. Now, I just took a briefing today, for example, just to give you an example, Arnab, very quickly.
Yes.
Where I've traced each of the details of the various incursions and infiltrations by the Chinese. And astonishingly, while discussing Guangzhou and the capital of that province, the circulation by the additional Chief Secretary of Gujarat of a map, Mr. Pandyan,
I noticed
which
that.
shows not only Arunachal as disputed territory, but even Aksai Chin as fully Chinese territory, and Jammu
That's
and Kashmir also
unacceptable,
disputed territory. And we have not received any, Arnab, 1 second only, we have not received we have received no statement to the nation by the Prime Minister of India that while I am tangoing in Sabarmati, what is happening about the border, at least give a statement to the nation. I have demanded it today for the Congress
So
party.
what's your bigger point?
A very stiff
What's your larger
to
point?
the
Make your
President.
point, sir.
So my point
Short
is,
of time, make the larger point.
Yes, only one sentence. Only one sentence. The larger point, as you rightly put it, is that I just hope that US is not a repeat of the optics, the imagery, the photo opportunities and all the bonhomie and the nice words. It has to have the deliverables, the countables, the feelables, the concreteness.
Right.
That's go to the real test.
All right.
There is
So,
no doubt that
so
the
MJ
Prime
Akbar,
Minister is an excellent showman on the first score.
Sir, you're
The
calling
question
the
is,
Prime
he has
Minister
good
a
deliverer
showman?
on the second score.
You're calling the Prime Minister of India a showman?
I'm certainly saying that he has. I'm certainly.
You're calling him a showman.
I told you.
Arnab,
I no, watch it. Just a small observation on the aside. Just a small observation on the aside. What you have just seen, ladies and gentlemen, what you have just seen, ladies and gentlemen, unfold on television right before your eyes has been the creation of the most unexpected alliance and the fission of that same alliance in the course of about approximately 20 minutes. So a Congress-BJP partnership on the Newshour, for the record, lasted 20 minutes. MJ Akbar, go beyond the optics. I think we are going to close quickly, but not before giving you an opportunity to respond to that. Go beyond optics. We will want deliverables.
Arnab, on the issue of China and on the incursions, I'd just like to remind my friend Abhishek that it is he wanted a statement from the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister raised this issue extremely strongly with his Chinese counterpart right there during the talks.
No.
I think he's forgotten.
MJ, you're getting a counter argument.
That even a toothache can hurt the whole body. That a toothache. He warned the Chinese leadership that please.
No, you're getting counters. No, Pavan Verma is countering you. No, once again. Pavan Verma is countering you, sir. 2 counters coming in. I'm sorry. Pavan Verma. He's not taking you at face value. Pavan Verma.
Toothache analogy is a very evocative one, but it has no impact on the ground. The Chinese troops, in fact, have aggravated their incursion into India.
Our defense forces on the ground gave the proper immediate response. And I think you should be aware of that under Mr. Arun Jaitley's leadership in the defense, that was properly given.
No, but you haven't been able to effectively counter.
You gave a response.
No, you have. So 1 second. You haven't been able to counter a very serious charge that BJP foreign policy, according to Abhishek Manu Singhvi, he levels a charge tonight. Though he doesn't answer mine, he says BJP foreign policy is showmanship and optics. And we want deliverables. So when Mr. Modi comes back on the 2nd or 1st or whenever he comes back, people of India will want concrete deliverables, sir. You also know that there cannot be a repeat of the highs and lows of the China visit.
Over $50 billion investment is not optics. It's hard cash.
$50 billion? From where?
I said over $50 billion between Japan and China is not hard optics.
Between Japan and China?
It's hard cash.
No, so Abhishek Manu Singhvi, it's hard cash. You talked about...
Not the only thing India needs.
That is not
I
right
know
now.
when our own business
coming here,
to
fight
whatever our government delivers will always be inadequate.
Begin to reinvest in India, we'll have it.
Atul,
let's not give a unidimensional view to foreign policy.
Atul Kumar Anjaan, yes.
This very tough standards against the Indian exports, very tough bindings against the Indian export in United States of America, all these has to be discussed. And another very important point, when BJP was in opposition, they used to make that the government of India is not talking and for the democratization of United Nations. and extension of the Security Council. I hope that our Prime Minister, while discussing with the American President, he will stress upon that the changed world situation demands that India should be represented in the United Nations Security Council.
Sure, we
this
should.
has to be very forcibly
As a
conveyed to the
permanent member.
US
I agree.
President.
Not like the
That is the
Chinese
point which I
president.
want
I
to make.
agree totally.
And I think,
Yeah.
I agree totally.
No, permanent. Permanent.
I agree with you, but it
yes,
was
yes.
4 years back that Barack Obama in November 2010
And I think
said,
our
no,
Prime
Barack
Minister
Obama,
has, Mr. Akbar, you say that Mr. Akbar, you say his international personality, his style of functioning. I hope in the United Nations when he goes, he will use all his talent and then convince and see that India comes and gets a permanent membership of United Nations Security Council, and US will not stop the whole approach and they will support this one.
well, it wasn't, you know, Barack Obama mentioned that before a joint session of the Indian Parliament when he visited here. I think Modi should remind him of that promise that America backs India's presence in the UN Security Council. I think at the end of the day on foreign policy issues, we'd like to
sure
see
he
a
will.
coming together. No, we'd like to see a coming together, but MJ Akbar promises deliverables, Abhishek Manu Singhvi wants deliverables, and we don't want Mr. Modi to come back from America empty-handed, but at least with a few concrete assurances, not just on the economy, but on strategic issues. I thank you all, and for all our viewers, you must track our coverage with me, Maruf Raza, Navika Kumar, and our entire crew from New York and Washington over the next few days. I look forward to your viewership. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me on that chat.